Hello, everybody. How lovely for me to have a chance to talk to all of you again. Here I am in St Andrew's Church. Now, do you know what I discovered when I had got to church today? I discovered that I had forgotten my Bible. Oh no, I'd forgotten the Bible that I always have for our assemblies and our stories. But do you know what? Luckily, in St Andrew's Church, we've got lots of different Bibles. And I thought I could show you, because did you know there are lots of different versions of the Bible? This is a Bible. You see, it's called the Lion Storyteller Bible. And these are very good Bibles, actually, because if you have a real Bible, there are an awful lot of words in a real Bible, and sometimes it can be quite difficult to read all those words. So something like a Storyteller Bible, and I've got another one here, actually gives you different stories from the Bible, a bit like what I do in my assemblies. There's another version here. They've all got Noah's Ark on the front, haven't they? Because that's a story people know. And then I've got, also I found a Bible. Some of you have got that one in your schools, haven't you? A Good News Bible. So I'm going to put all these different Bibles behind me. I wonder if you've got a Bible in your home or in your school. I wonder which version you've got. I'll put these Bibles behind me now, because soon I'm going to tell you another story from the Bible. There they all are. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Bell have got another song for us. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bell.
Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. He is higher than a skyscraper, deeper than a submarine. He's wider than the universe, beyond my wildest dreams. He's known me and He's loved me since before the world began. How wonderful to be a part of God's amazing plan. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hand. And He holds us in His hand. And He holds us in His hand. And He holds us in His hands.
So, a story from the Bible. Here's another version. I forgot to start our service in the way that we always start it in St Andrew's School and in church. Can you remember how we do it? I say, "The Lord be with you," and you say, "And also with you." Shall we try? The Lord be with you, and also with you. Last week, we were thinking about praying, about talking to God. I'm going to tell you a story from near the beginning of the Bible. This is a story that Jesus would have heard. It's a story He would have heard read in the synagogue, and I bet his mummy Mary and his daddy Joseph told him this story when he was a little boy. This is a story about somebody who talked to God in a very special way. Moses lived in the land of Egypt. Moses was an Israelite. He was one of God's people. The Israelites were slaves in Egypt, and the Egyptians were cruel to them. They had to spend their time working for the Egyptians. There were lots of rules, and life was very hard. Moses lived in the court of Pharaoh because you may remember the story when he was a baby. His mummy had hidden him in the bulrushes by a river to try to protect him from the cruel Egyptians, and Pharaoh's daughter found him. And she called him Moses because she'd pulled him out of the reeds, and Moses was looked after in Pharaoh's household. When he had become a man, he got married, and one day he was in the land of Midian, looking after his father-in-law Jethro's sheep. And with the sheep, Moses came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Moses was with the sheep at Horeb, and he saw a bush. And suddenly, God's angel came. God's angel came like flames on the bush. And the bush burned with the fire of God's love and God's power. But it didn't get eaten up. It didn't burn away. And Moses thought, what is this? I must come closer. And as Moses came closer, he heard God's voice calling to him from the bush. And the voice said, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, here I am. And the voice said, come no closer. Take off your sandals, because this is holy ground. And Moses took off his sandals and he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. And God said to him, Moses, you are going to lead my people Israel out of slavery. You are going to lead them to the promised land. And Moses thought, how am I going to do that? And God knew what Moses was thinking, and God said, Moses, I will be with you. And Moses said, but what am I to do? And God said, you will go to the king of Egypt, and you will say to him, I am leading my people out of Egypt into the promised land. And Moses, you will go to your people, you will go to my people, the Israelites, and you will say, I am leading you out of Egypt into the promised land. And Moses said, but how will they believe me? Who shall I say has told me to say this? And God said, you will tell them that I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. You will tell them that I am the God of your ancestors, and that I have sent you to lead my people out of the promised land. I wonder how Moses felt. Moses said, but if they ask, what is his name? What is the name of the God who has sent me? What shall I say? And God said, you will say, I am who I am. That is my name forever. And Moses felt so frightened. He felt so frightened. And he said to God, but how will I know I can do it? And God said, what is that in your hand? And Moses said, it's a stick. And God said, throw your stick on the ground. And Moses threw the stick on the ground. And the stick turned into a snake. And Moses thought, oh! And God said, pick up your stick. And Moses picked the stick up again. And God said, you will do amazing things with that stick. One of the things Moses did with that stick later was part the Red Sea. Can you remember? We've done that certainly in Wetherall's primary school, in St Andrew's primary school. Can you remember? The sea parted and God's people went through. And in fact, we've done that at the Shade Primary School as well very recently. That's something that would happen later with that stick. But Moses still wasn't convinced. And Moses said, and God said, take your hand. There's Moses' hand. And God said, put it into your cloak. Moses put the hand into his cloak. And God said, pull your hand out again. And Moses' hand was covered in white spots. And God said, put it back into your cloak. Put it back into the cloak. And God said, take it out again. And Moses' hand was back to normal. But Moses still felt frightened. And Moses said, but God, I'm not very good at talking. I'm not good at talking at all. But God said, I will be with you, remember? I will be with you. I will give you the words to say. And Moses said, but I'm too frightened. I'm too frightened. I can't do it. And God said, Moses, I will be with you. Do I have to send somebody else? Do I have to send somebody else? Shall I send somebody else to go with you? And Moses looked, and he could see his brother Aaron coming towards him. And God said, I will send your brother Aaron to go with you. I will be with you. I will be with you. Together, you will go to the king of Egypt. Together, you will ask him to free my people, the Israelites. Together, you will ask him to let my people go, and I will be with you. And together, you will go to my people, the Israelites, and you will say to them, I God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. I am the God of your ancestors, and I am sending you, Moses and Aaron, to lead my people out of slavery into the promised land. And Moses and Aaron went on their way. And you know what comes next in the Bible? All through the book of Exodus, which is the start. That was from chapter 3 and 4 of the book of Exodus at the start of the Bible. All through the book of Exodus. Exodus means the escape. Exodus tells the story of how Moses and Aaron led God's people out of slavery into the promised land. But that's the story for another day. So we heard, didn't we? Moses talked to God. And Moses was honest. Moses said, I'm frightened. I'm frightened. Do you remember what God kept saying? God kept saying, I will be with you. But Moses still felt frightened. So God knew what Moses needed. God knew that he needed someone to walk with him on the way. I'm going to say a prayer. If you'd like to make it your prayer, you can say amen at the end. Dear God, thank you for the story of Moses. Thank you that Moses was honest. We know he felt frightened, and we remember you promised him that you would be with him, and you gave him a friend to walk with him on the way. Thank you that you're always with us, and thank you for our friends. Thank you for our families. Thank you for the people you give us to make sure we're not on our own. Amen. So that's the end of today's story. See you next time. Bye.